Greetings and salutations, humans. Welcome to the channel. This is your host, PutinBot. Today, we will be doing episode 3 of our Dogfight series. The current reigning champion is Sachi. Sachi is a Force Epic Attack champion from the Shadowkin faction. I'm not going to go over all of her gear. I will kind of touch on her stats. I just want to keep the video moving. And we will be pairing her up with another fan favorite, another Shadowkin Epic called Oboro. So without any further ado, let's get into it. First, let me show you her total stats. Sachi's hit points, 35,000. Her attack is 3,425. Her speed is 192. Her crit rate is 107%. Her crit damage is 227%. She has 302 accuracy. She is a support type champion, which is really solid. And that's going to make a whole lot of sense with her kit here in just a moment. Her masteries. I've got her going down into War Master. I also have her going down support, finishing up with Spirit Haste. Sachi is a great support champion that can do quite a bit of damage. Her kit is very effective. She has an area of effect A1, Sickle Sweep, attacks all enemies, and has a chance to place a decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns, which is solid, especially in Hydra. Her A2, Heart Pierce, level 7, attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a decreased crit rate buff and a leech debuff for 2 turns, books up to 100%, solid. Her A3, Shadow Ambush, places a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Then attacks one enemy, fills the turn meters of all allies by 20% if this attack is critical. So you want to build out your Sachi with a 100% crit rate, and then we're going to go into her passive. Revives a random ally with 30% HP whenever this champion kills an enemy. Now the second part of this passive is really busted. Has a 50% chance of placing a fear debuff all enemies for 1 turn whenever an ally is revived. For the second part of this passive to work, Sachi does not have to be the one placing the revive. If you're running her with someone else that does a res, like a Reliquary Tender, Sky of the Drakes, pick your poison, someone gets picked up, you have a 50% chance of that fear going on all the enemies whenever that happens. And as you can see, there's not a cooldown. It is fantastic. So, without any further ado, let's jump into Dragon 20, and we are going to see just what kind of damage Sachi is able to bring home. Will she be able to retain her crown, or will she lose it the way that Talia lost her crown to Sachi? Let's get into it and see how this goes, shall we? Okay, so here we are. Here is the team. As y'all can see, this team is very accessible. We have got Apothecary in the lead. We have got Frozen Banshee as our win condition against the dragon. We have Thylesia for our defense down. Reliquary Tender for heals and also reses in case it's needed. And of course, Sachi. Let's go in and see how this goes, shall we? Let's go ahead and slow this down. So let's go ahead and do the A1. Remember, this is an AoE. So about 20,000 damage across the board. So that's a good average hit for everybody. Just a reminder, we will be tallying up all the damage at the end of this run, and then we're going to compare that with what Oboro is able to bring home. Okay, let's see here. Sachi's A3, just a reminder, places a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns, then attacks one enemy. Fills the turn meters of all allies by 20% if this attack is critical. If you have Sachi, you can definitely run her as a turn meter booster in your arena team. Let's smack this Apothecary and see what kind of a damage she does with her A3. 25k. I don't think there was a defense down. on that apothecary. Speed everybody up again. Now we will use Sachi's A2. Heart Piercer attacks one enemy, and it gives us a chance to place a leech and also place a decreased crit rate buff on the enemy. Let's go ahead and hit this Horden. 58k. Now we're just going to go and auto this thing to the end, and we were going to see how much total damage it is Sachi does on this run. Okay, and here we go. So for total damage, Sachi did 1.3 million damage here on this Dragon 20 run. So now, let's take a look at the contestant. Will Sachi be able to keep her crown? So this is Oboro, our challenger. She is a Void attack-based champion from the Shadowkin faction. She has a 33% attack in Dungeons aura, which is fantastic. She also has a passive, just like Sachi does. Places a Revive on Death buff on this champion for 3 turns whenever they receive a Veil or Perfect Veil buff. Her A3, Ninja Arts, places a 30% increased crit rate buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns and attacks an enemy. Places a Perfect Veil buff on this champion for 2 turns if this attack is critical. That is why my Oboro does not have a 100% crit rate. She doesn't need it with this A3. Her A2, Mystic Smoke, attacks one enemy 2 times. The second hit has a 75% chance of transferring all debuffs from this champion to the target. The first hit has a 75% chance of stealing all buffs from the target when attacking under Veil or Perfect Veil buff. So the idea is you open up the A3, then you go into your A2, and that buffs up to 100%, which is fantastic. Her A1 attacks one enemy, has a 40%, books up to 50% chance of placing the big version of decreased defense for 2 turns. Will attack all enemies instead if the target is under 4 or more debuffs. Oboro pairs incredibly well with Contra because of this. Just hits like a truck. Let's get into it and let's see which of these 2 champions are going to be able to come out on top. Sachi is Strong Affinity on Dragon 20. Oboro is Void, so she's neutral. How is this going to play out? We simply do not know, but we're about to find out, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, so here we go. Now, just a quick little recap. I'm running Oboro in the lead. She does have the aura advantage. Sachi did not have that. However, Sachi's Strong Affinity on Dragon 20, which means she's able to do extra damage against Magic Affinity champions. Will Sachi hold on to her crown, or will Oboro be able to take it from her? Let's hop in and see what happens. Let's do a quick comparison. We'll go ahead and speed everybody up with Apothecary. Let's get our defense down. We will go ahead and open up with our A1 just like we did last time with Sachi. We will hit this Bombardier here on the right. Oboro's A1, 38,000 damage. Let's go ahead and cycle on through our skills. Now we will go in And we will open up with Oboro's A3. This will give her the crit rate buff and her increased crit damage. So let's go ahead and hit this champion here on the left with her A3. 73,000. Not bad at all. And keep in mind, these showcases I'm doing, none of these champions are in God tier gear. They are in very accessible gear. It's good, but it's not great. I mean, it's not God tier stuff that we're rocking here. Now let's go ahead and do Sachi's A2. Let's hit this apothecary because he has the buffs. Let's see the buff steal and see how much damage she does against a defensive based champion with her A2. Let's slow this down. 26k with the A2. Okay, now we're just going to put this thing on auto, and we are going to see who comes out on top at the end of this run. Okay, and here we go. So Oboro comes in with a pretty commanding lead. She comes in with 1.44 million damage compared to Sachi, who came in with 1.3 million. So y'all, there we have it. We once again have a brand new champion. This is the third one in a row. Now, one thing I will say, some of the comments I had on some of the previous videos, they want to have a rematch. So I think what we are going to do on the next episode, a fan favorite, Alika, is going to be coming in, and she is going to be competing with Oboro. We're going to see if she's able to outdamage Oboro or not. And then we will move on to the next championship round. Thank y'all very much again for watching this video. If y'all enjoy it, if y'all like this series, do me a favor. If y'all would just press that like button and subscribe to the channel, it helps out a whole ton. The goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers by this time next year, and with y'all's help, we'll be able to make it happen. Y'all, thank you very much. This is your host, PutinBot, and I will see y'all later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.